Good morning, Megapodlings. Crazy Joe here on Wednesday, August. What's the date? Wednesday, August 21st. And what a week it has been. How's everybody doing? Hang on a second, let me get the chat up here. I'm working on it. Make sure the volume's down. I don't want to be blasting myself out. So how's everyone doing on this beautiful Wednesday evening? 8 days, as the title of this video says, 8 days until DragonCon. I really need to get a more comfortable chair back here. I'm sitting on a bar stool. I always do these on a bar stool. So what a week it has been. What a week it has been. Obviously, the top story that is causing the internet to lose their collective minds this week is the word that Sony and Disney have not come to an arrangement, and Spider-Man will be leaving the Marvel Cinematic Universe, heading back to Sony. And the funny thing is, most of the internet seems to be getting it wrong. There is a lot of outrage, a lot of people saying boycott Sony and showing anger at Sony, when it was Disney that did this. It wasn't Sony. Disney came in with completely unreasonable demands, and no businessman worth his salt would have ever accepted those demands. And Sony rightfully said, no, we're not going to go along with that, because, God, any businessman who went along with this plan, they wanted 50% of Sony's biggest franchise, and not just the Spider-Man movies proper. They wanted the extended Spider-Verse. They wanted, like Sony, Disney wanted 50% of Venom 2 and 50% of Morpheus, and it's like, it was a completely ridiculous demand. So of course, no business person worth their salt ever would have gone with that. So they said no, and I applaud Sony for it. I mean, I love Disney. I'm a huge fan of Disney, but that was an unreasonable demand. And the internet's losing their crap over this and blaming Sony. And it's like, did you read the articles? Did you read what Disney did? This isn't Sony. Good job, Sony. You stood up to a bully. I pat Sony on the back here. But that's obviously the big news that has the internet melting today. The other thing, of course, is that there's going to be a Matrix 4. I Want My Slaw is in the chat room. I Want My Slaw asked if I've heard about the Kevin Smith He-Man reboot. You know, I Want My Slaw? I have, and I'm not too pleased. Because I love He-Man. I really love He-Man, and I've been wanting something like this for a long time, but I hate anime. I can't stand anime, and it's being described as a Netflix anime series, and I think that's, number one, I think it's a rotten thing to do, because anime is divisive. People love anime, people hate anime. Anime is extremely divisive. So you're taking a property, He-Man, that was not anime, and turning it into anime, and for what reason? Like I said, it's extremely divisive. People who don't like anime, like myself, really don't like anime, and it's like one of those things where it's like, you've kind of alienated half the fan base just by making it anime. Like, I don't know why they would do that. But anyway. Jesse is here. Bohemian is here. J2H is in the house. Mike is in the house. Brandon Sullivan is here saying he stands strong with Sony. Me too. The one bad piece of news is that John Watts, who directed the last two Spider-Man movies, it's come out that he does not yet have a contract for Spider-Man 3. Sony has to nail him down, man. You got to get John Watts on board, because he delivered two great Spider-Man movies. And if you're going to make a Spider-Man movie without Kevin Feige, that's fine. That's fine. Sony has made great Spider-Man movies without Kevin Feige in the past. I have no doubts they can do it again. But I want to feel comfortable with the filmmaker who's in charge, because last time Sony made a Spider-Man movie without Kevin Feige, they put Mark Webb in the director's chair, and Mark Webb screwed it up twice in a row. Amazing Spider-Man wasn't that bad. I don't hate Amazing Spider-Man, but it wasn't that good either. And then Amazing Spider-Man 2 was the worst Spider-Man movie of all time. So I want to know that you've got a filmmaker in there that I feel comfortable with. And John Watts created the cliffhanger that ended the last one. He's got to be the one to resolve it. You pay the man what he wants. You get John Watts on board. Because if we're not going to have Kevin Feige, we need one of the guiding forces that made the last two so good. And John Watts was the director. You need him, man. Sony, you need him. Give him what he wants. So, anyway. Sav is in the house. Joey Baseball is in the house. Conor McGregor is here. Conor McGregor says, did you see iTunes has the complete series of Jim Henson's The Storyteller? I did not. I really like The Storyteller. Sav says, how are you? I'm good, Sav. How are you? Joey says, you're the only person I know who hates anime. Joey, a lot of people hate anime. A lot of people who don't like anime hate anime. Dave Perillo, my Lunchbox Bunch cohort, he doesn't like anime either. You either like anime or you hate anime. Anime is extremely divisive. So, and if you are doing a reboot of anime, like if you're like, hey, we're going to reboot Star Blazers and we're rebooting it as anime. Well, okay, you're rebooting anime as anime. I get it. That's the core audience. That's what the core audience wants. When you take something that is an anime and say we're rebooting it, but now it's going to be anime, you're kind of cutting your core audience in half because half the audience is going to hate that. Doesn't seem like a good move. Really doesn't. That's like saying, hey, Walt Disney's going to reboot Beauty and the Beast, but now it's anime. I mean, those of us who hate anime, like myself, we look at anime and we're like, that's, it's crappy animation is what it is. It's crappy animation because if you look at anime and then compare it to something like Walt Disney's Beauty and the Beast, one is lush and beautiful and the other just looks like it was, I mean, you know, Hanna-Barbera passing the same item 12 times. That looks more high-tech than anime. I don't know. Anyway. J2H says, Sony going to shit the bed again, just like Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2. I don't think they will. I don't think so. I mean, let's not forget, Sony has made some of the best Spider-Man movies ever made without Disney. Into the Spider-Verse, my God, we watch Into the Spider-Verse so often in this house. It's my daughter Jackie's favorite movie. We just watch Into the Spider-Verse over and over. Disney had nothing to do with that, and that is one of the best Spider-Man movies ever made. And I still think the best Spider-Man movie ever made is Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2. They still haven't topped that. So I got no issues with Sony doing Spider-Man 3 without Marvel. The truth is, Marvel needs them more than they need Marvel. It's true. You look at the Phase 4 slate. All the heavy hitters are gone. Captain America's gone. Iron Man's gone. Okay, they got Thor. But it's like Spider-Man was like one of the things they still had going for them after Endgame. Because like all the big names are gone. But they still had Spider-Man. Now Spider-Man's still going to go on. We're still going to get a Spider-Man movie. Keep John Watts in there. Get a great script. We'll get a great Spider-Man movie. But the MCU's looking a little weak right now. At least until the X-Men show up or the Fantastic Four. I mean, I think Phase 5 of Marvel's going to be really good. But Phase 4 is looking really weak. Anyway. AJR4 says, Spider-Man Homecoming or Far From Home? Far From Home. Far From Home. I think Far From Home is the second best Spider-Man movie ever made after Spider-Man 2. I love Far From Home. My God, Mysterio. It's terrific. It's terrific. Joey Baseball says Studio Ghibli will change your mind. No, I don't like Studio Ghibli. I don't like it. And AJR4 is asking, do I like anime? No, not at all. I don't like anime even a little bit. Brandon says, I guess you don't like the Netflix She-Ra. Hate it. Despise it. I think it's just the worst. And one of my big fears was that it would become successful enough that they would create a He-Man spinoff that looked just like it. And I don't know. We haven't seen character designs for He-Man yet, but the poster says a Netflix anime series, so I'm already kind of checked out. You gotta win me back now because you've already lost me. But I don't know. Maybe if it doesn't look like anime, I'll be okay with it. We'll see. Bohemian says, I like some anime, My Neighbor Totoro and Pokemon. I am not a fan, but to each their own. And I got no problem with anime existing. You know, it's like you like what you like, you don't like what you don't like. I don't like anime, but I'm not going to take anime away from someone who does like it. If you love anime, have at it. Like that's, that's cool. Everyone's different. Some people like it, some people don't. If you love it, go for it. That's great. But I don't think you should take a thing that wasn't anime and turn it into anime. I think that's just asking for trouble. Anyway. Movie Hunter in the house. J2H says, Joe, did you watch Brightburn? Yes, I did a review of Brightburn. It's okay. I thought it was all right. My one problem was it was exactly what I expected. Like, it looked like evil Superman. It was evil Superman. I was kind of hoping there would be some kind of twist in there that would differentiate it just a little, like something where it would be like, I didn't see that coming. But no, it was just evil Superman. But it was okay. Jesse says, do I like Sam Raimi's Darkman? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Sav says, if a company's going to re-release a classic cartoon, get it as it is. And here's the thing, too. They're saying it's a sequel picking up right where the original series left off. Well, they make it look like the original series. If you're picking up right where the original series left off, I mean, you don't have to make it look exactly the same, but similar. Like, look at the new Danger Mouse. There's a new Danger Mouse series on Netflix. And it's not dramatically different from the original. I mean, it's different. It's a little more stylized, but it's similar enough. It's not a night and day departure. That's a perfect example. Do it like that. Anyway. Let's see. AJR4 says it's your opinion, but I love certain animes. Okay, that's fine. I just don't like anime. Sam says, did I hear about Tom Cruise as Hal Jordan? Well, I heard there were discussions with Christopher McQuarrie to come on board the DC Cinematic Universe and take over Superman and Green Lantern, and he did have plans for Tom Cruise as Hal Jordan, but it's my understanding that didn't come together. Joey Baseball says, so you hate Speed Racer and Hello Kitty? I like the movie Speed Racer. I thought the movie was pretty good, but no, I don't like the cartoon. It's got a great theme song, but I don't like the animation. And no, I don't like Hello Kitty at all. Brandon says, am I going to see Ready or Not? I gotta be honest with you, I never heard about Ready or Not. I don't even know what it is. Rick mentioned it to me yesterday. It's the first I've heard of it. So I'll have to look up a trailer for Ready or Not because I really don't know anything about it. Joey Baseball says anime is incredibly detailed. What are you talking about? Oh, I totally disagree. I think anime just looks like the cheapest, laziest animation. Like, it's just like still shots of people flying while a background goes by behind them, and then close-ups of people going like, oh, I don't like it. I don't like it one bit. I think it's ugly animation. My daughter watches an anime show every day, or a lot, on Netflix called Glitter Force. And just, my God, it's just so horrible looking. But anyway. J2H says anime is an acquired taste. Okay, I agree with that. I've never acquired the taste, though. Joey Baseball says the new Thundercats Roar, that art style is atrocious. I don't know, it looks kind of cute. Is it actually happening? I saw character designs for that like a year ago, but I never saw any movement. Are they actually getting anywhere with that? Jesse says, I think they could have done a live-action He-Man movie with CGI. They are doing a live-action He-Man movie. Sony is actually working on one. There's one in the pipeline. And Sam Haskell says Tom Cruise to play Hal Jordan. I heard that was a thing they were working on. But I heard it fell through. Is Christopher McQuarrie? Is this the Christopher McQuarrie story we're talking about here? Marty McFly says, yo, Joe. Yo, Marty. Bohemian says, fun fact here. Supernatural had an anime and only lasted one season, and I hate it. They also did a Scooby-Doo crossover, which I was a little disappointed in because they had them like go into the TV show. And I kind of would have liked it if they did it more classic 70s Scooby-Doo style, where the episode was just animated from start to finish, and they just happened to run into Scooby-Doo, and they didn't acknowledge it as like, oh, that's a TV show. I think that could have been more fun. Anyway. Conor McGregor says, if Sony doesn't secure John Watts, maybe Sony could give the Spider-Verse directors a shot at live action. I'd be okay with that. You know who else I would love to see get a shot? Oh, man, I'm going to blank on his name now. I'm blanking. What's his name? Crap. Cabin in the Woods. Cabin in the Woods. El Royale. Oh, someone in the chat help me out. What's his name? Cabin in the Woods. He was supposed to direct the Sinister Six movie for Sony, and then it fell through. Drew Goddard. Thank you, Jesse. Thank you, Drew Goddard. Drew Goddard is a heck of a filmmaker, and I was disappointed we never got to see his Sinister Six movie, because I think that would have been really good, because Drew Goddard is really, really talented. I think he would have brought something great to the table. So when his Sinister Six movie fell through, as much as I hated Amazing Spider-Man 2, I was really looking forward to Sinister Six because it was going to be Drew Goddard. Give Drew Goddard a shot, man. He'd do a great job. But anyway, I do want to see John Watts finish it. He's the story that, I don't want to give spoilers if you haven't seen Spider-Man Far From Home, but the cliffhanger of Far From Home, I want John Watts back to resolve that. I want to, and I've actually thought there's some advantages to Spider-Man not being in the MCU. There's some things that could be better. For one thing, with the MCU, you can't really do a sequel that takes place right where the last one left off, because time passes. Like, you've got the other movies in the MCU, so you went forward a year, you went forward 2 years, because it's like, we left Spider-Man off, but then there was a Captain Marvel movie and a Black Panther movie, so we know time has moved forward. So by the time we next catch up with Spider-Man, it's not, time has passed. But having them not be in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, they could pick up immediately where Far From Home left off. Just like that moment where the thing happened, you could pick it up right from that second and have the fallout happen live, because you don't have to worry about the continuity of the other movies, because it's not going to acknowledge those films. So that's an advantage. Another advantage is, I think Tony Stark kind of overshadowed Spider-Man in these two Spider-Man movies. As much as I love them, he was too much of Tony Stark's protege. And the armor was made by Tony Stark. And then we had that scene where he was building the new armor, and Happy Hogan was smiling and looking at him like, it reminds me of Tony. And it's like, now we can kind of kick Spider-Man out of Tony Stark's shadow. Spider-Man could be Spider-Man. Spider-Man could be the star of his own movie, and not just Iron Man Jr. And I think that's actually could be a good thing. So there's a couple advantages to him not being in the MCU. All right, let me catch up. Where are we? Jeffrey Joe says, what do you think of movies where they showcase villains without their signature heroes like Venom and the Joker? Well, I loved Venom. But I'm not too enthused about the Joker. Super chat from Brent Oberlin. Thank you, Brent. I appreciate it. Brent asks, do I like Rankin and Bass Christmas specials? Absolutely. Absolutely. I love Rankin and Bass. In fact, on the podcast a couple years ago, I interviewed a Rankin and Bass historian. If you look on our podcast feed, you can find that a couple years ago. He was very interesting. And I love Rankin and Bass. Booth Babe Greg is in the house. Welcome, Booth Babe Greg. Welcome. Hang on, I need some water. Jesse says, it's a thriller with some scary parts. I lost track of what we were talking about there. Sam Haskell says, I just read your recent movie review. Also, you can do half stars too. I noticed that. I've been using the half stars. I like the half stars. They give you flexibility. I Want My Slaw says, have you seen the cast for the new season of Dancing with the Stars? I'm rooting for Kel Mitchell. I haven't, but I want to know why Marina Sirtis from Star Trek The Next Generation keeps getting passed over for Dancing with the Stars. She actively wants to do the show. She has asked to do the show, and they keep passing her up. And I mean, she's one of the stars of Star Trek The Next Generation. That was a huge hit show. They've had stars on Dancing with the Stars who are much, much smaller stars than she is, like reality stars where you're like, who's that person? She's, one of the Real Housewives, But they got an actual star from a hit TV show who wants to do the show, and they keep passing her. It's crazy. Marty McFly says, since Far From Home established the multiverse, they could do a Spider-Verse crossover. Marty, I'm guessing you have not seen Far From Home. I don't want to give spoilers away, so I'm not going to say anything, but I'm guessing you haven't seen Far From Home. Check out Far From Home. It's a great movie. It's a great movie. Jeffrey Joe says, what do I think of the new Bond title? What's my favorite Bond movie? Jeffrey, I'm not a Bond fan, to be honest with you. I'm really not a Bond fan. The title sounds very Bondy. I'll say that. It sounds like a Bond movie. But, I don't know. RXZS, where am I staying at Dragon Con? I don't know. Do I got to worry? Do I got to worry, RXZ? Am I gonna be stalked? I don't know. Should I say where I'm staying at Dragon Con, or is that dangerous ground? I don't know. I'll have to think about answering that one. Jeffrey Joe says, what do you think of the deep fakes? Deep fakes. Do you think a deep fake would have improved Tarkin or Leia in Rogue One? What is a deep fake? I don't know what a deep fake is, Jeffrey Joe. I apologize. I'm not sure. Rick Goldsmith. Yes, Brent. It was Rick Goldsmith I had on the podcast. Good guy. And he's going to be at Dragon Con. So I will be seeing him again next week. Connor says, did I see the Banana Splits movie? I did. I got to do a video review for it. I haven't done a video review yet. I got to do that. And I just haven't gotten to it yet. I apologize. RXZ says, deep fakes are mind-bending. Never thought that would be possible. I just still don't know what a deep fake is. Jesse says, what are my thoughts on a fourth Matrix? Supremely disinterested. I love The Matrix. I hate The Matrix Reloaded. I hate The Matrix Revolutions. Now, if you told me there was going to be a fourth Matrix that was directed by anyone other than the Wachowskis, I'd be on board. I'd be on board. As soon as you tell me Lana Wachowski's making it, you lost me. Because it's the Wachowskis that made the sequels. Let's face it, the Wachowskis have made more bad Matrix movies than good. Now, I'll give them their credit. They made the first one. The first one is a genius. That's all them. That was their imagination. The Wachowskis deserve the credit. They've made more bad than good. I don't know what to tell you. And then the movies they've made since The Matrix, like Jupiter Rising. I did like Speed Racer. I already mentioned I like Speed Racer. But really, other than Speed Racer and the first Matrix, I'm not a fan of the Wachowskis. I don't like most of what they've done, to be honest with you. So, yeah, I'm on board for a Matrix 4. But I don't want I don't want the Wachowskis anywhere near it. Unless if they have like the ceremonial title of executive producer. So that's my thoughts. RXZ says, haha, I need a room. RXZ, do you have my email address? Send me an email. I'll give you, well, though even where I'm staying, I think they're filled by now. But anyway. Marina, Sirtis wouldn't work. Should be able to sense their emotions and dance accordingly. You might be right. Joey Baseball says, I hate to break it to you, the Real Housewives are more famous than Marina Sirtis. I don't think so. You'd have to be a viewer of the Real Housewives to know who the Real Housewives are. Star Trek is like worldwide famous. Liam says, and we're talking not just Star Trek either, but the most popular of the Star Trek series too. Liam is in the house. Evening, Liam. Sav says, what happens when Eric eats a banana? Who's Eric? I'm losing something here. Eric, what happens when Eric... I'm not with you on that one. David Rembert says, did you see CS review of the movie Us? He said it was overrated. I really liked Us, but I might agree that it was a little overrated. I think people, I heard people calling it one of the best movies of the year. I don't think I'd put it that high. I liked it. It was good. It was really good. I need to watch it a second time, too. I hear it's actually better the second time you watch it, and I haven't seen it a second time yet. Brandon says, Monster Mania announced they planned out a fourth show in 2020, but this one is going to focus on more on the pop culture. As long as they get it out of that hotel. I hate Monster Mania so much now. I hate Monster Mania. They've outgrown their venue. They've outgrown their venue. Their venue is too small for the show. They're too big of a show for that tiny venue. But they're pig-headed. They won't leave that venue. All right. Connor says, am I excited for the Shining sequel? I'll go see it. Excited? Probably, I don't think excited is the word. Marty says, thoughts on the Garfield movies? Never saw them, never wanted to see them. Gotta be honest, I'm not a fan of the trend of taking old cartoons and turning them into live-action CGI hybrids. I didn't like Alvin and the Chipmunks, which I had to see in the theater. I had to take my nephew to see that. Never saw the sequels, but I hated Alvin and the Chipmunks. Never saw Yogi Bear. I didn't really like the Scooby-Doo movies. So that whole genre of, hey, we're going to take this old cartoon and mash it up with live action and create... I'm not a fan. Also, Garfield, I like Bill Murray, but Garfield just isn't right if Lorenzo Music isn't the voice. Booth Babe Greg says, I totally agree. It's getting too bad to be a little too much. I think we're talking about Monster Mania. Am I right? Brent asked if I've seen Missing Link yet. No, Brent, I haven't. So thank you for sending it to me. I really appreciate it. But I do want to watch it with my daughter because I know she's dying to see it. And she was actually away for a week with her grandparents, and we just haven't had a chance to watch it yet. But maybe sometime this weekend I'll be able to sit her down and watch it with her. Sam says I need to rank 2019 movies on Letterboxd. I could probably do that. Joey Baseball says, you know who really likes the movie Us? Maury. Yeah, Maury was a big fan. Boothbake says they don't want to leave because they like the family setting the hotel brings. They're aware, just not interested in moving. Does it really bring a family setting, though? I think they say it does, but if your family is really, really, really crowded and jammed in like sardines in a tight too small for them, like if you have a family of 20 living in a row home, then maybe it brings the family feeling. Jeffrey Joe says, have I heard any of the specials for Sesame Street's 50th? I know they're working on a special, but I don't know much about it. Hey, the chat is getting away from me, guys, so I'm going to have to jump down a little bit. I'm sorry if I miss a question and you really want it answered. You can ask again, but I'm just falling way behind here. RXZ says, gone to Dragon Con 10 years, always feel like I'm missing something and not planning the best itinerary. Hey, look for me when you're there, man. I'm hard to miss. I'm very tall, and I'll be wearing a Megapotastic shirt. Aubrey says, good evening. Hello, Aubrey. It's good to see you. It is good to see you. I haven't done trivia in a while, Aubrey. Dog days of podcasting has been keeping me busy. Brent says, no problem. Take Yerm. I think that's supposed to say take your time, but I'm guessing. Jesse says Cool World, tried it and it sucked. Yeah, I wasn't a fan of Cool World either. Brandon says hasn't been too crowded the last few times since they started capping ticket sales. Honestly, after the Pee Wee Herman one a couple years ago, I haven't wanted to go back. Like, they got to get a huge guest that I really, really, really want to meet to get me back there. If they get Dolph Lundgren back, I'll go. I missed the Dolph Lundgren show because it happened like just weeks after I was laid off. Joey Baseball says, thought Banana Splits was atrocious. My childhood was ruined for nothing. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun. And Sid and I think Sid and Marty Krofft have chimed in on it. They actually enjoyed it too. They thought it was a fun idea. Booth Babe Greg says, Dragon Con is a show I've wanted to go to myself one day. Hey, let me know, man. Let me know. Because, I mean, I don't know for sure. But I have a feeling Christine's not going to want to go again after this show. I could be dead wrong. Maybe she'll love it. I hope she loves it. It would be terrific if she loves it. But I don't know. We'll see. Time will tell if she loves it or not. Time will tell. But if she says to me, I don't ever want to do that again, it won't surprise me. So then I'll need roommates. And UNCS, and maybe we can talk Rick into go. I don't know, but we'll see. Time will tell. Marty says there should be a Tron convention. Be all over that, man. I'd love it. What am I missing here? Joey Baseball says Pee Wee Herman was there. Yeah, about a year ago they had Pee Wee Herman there, and that was actually the show where the fire marshal shut down the convention. Yep. Joey Baseball says Booth Babe Greg gets it. Booth Babe Greg says, dude, I'll go. When is it? Every Labor Day weekend, man. Every Labor Day weekend. I don't think I'll be able to go next year. All signs point to I'm not going next year. Unless if like I hit the lottery. If there's a like winning lottery ticket in my future, then I'll be there next year. But other than that happening, I won't be there next year. But there's always 2021, man. Where's it held? Atlanta. It's held in Atlanta, Greg. It takes over like the whole city. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. Marty says, what's my favorite movie or show that my wife introduced me to? Ooh, good question. Good question. I know I'd have to get back to you on that. She showed me a lot of musicals. My Fair Lady was good. Aubrey asks, thoughts on a fourth Matrix? Not interested. I'm just not interested. I'd be interested if it wasn't by Lana Wachowski. But, you know, they proved to me twice that they can't make a Matrix sequel. So, I'm just not interested. Joey Baseball asks if I met Pee Wee Herman. Hang on a second. I think it's right here. Yes. Yes, it is. Yes, I met Pee Wee. Crazy Joe, your pal, Pee Wee Herman. I did meet Paul Rubens at Monster Mania. Sab says, I like your show. Oh, thank you, Sab. Brent says, worst con you've been to? Probably some of those Monster Mania cons. No, Nostalgia Fest. There was an awful con called Nostalgia Fest held in Bensalem, Pennsylvania a couple years ago. It was a complete disaster. It was horrible. Oh, just terrible. They had bath fitters, and like, do you have a moldy basement? And these were some of the vendors they had in there. It was just a train wreck. Bohemian says there needs to be a physical media convention. That's true. Joey Baseball says, I love everything my wife loves. Happy wife, happy life. Well, there you go. There you go. I do not love everything my wife loves because my wife loves anime. But anyway. Booth Babe says, no, that is a good topic. I'd be curious to hear his thoughts on that. Oh, what did I miss? Oh, that was the worst con question. Okay. Jesse says, who do I think should direct the fourth Matrix movie? Good question. Drew Goddard. No, I'd watch anything Drew Goddard makes, quite frankly. Booth Babe says, Pee Wee was awesome from what I heard. Oh, yeah, he's always awesome. He's great. Joey Baseball says, you like autographs over selfies? Depends. If I have like a movie poster, I'm going to get the movie poster signed. Booth Babe says, is that the same one being held in MD this year? Monster Mania? They do hold a Monster Mania in Maryland every year. Brandon says, Paul Rubens was great. I got him on a Flight of the Navigator poster. That's awesome. J2H says, did I watch the He-Man documentary yet? Yes, I did. Thank you. It was very, very good. It was a good documentary. There was a He-Man documentary that's been in the work for like a decade. And it's called Toy Masters. It was announced in like 2009. And the director hit some kind of snag where he's finished the movie, but he can't release it. I don't know exactly what happened, but it's like one of the parties, I guess, he interviewed is like now trying to like didn't sign off in the proper place, and I don't know. It's a shame. I'd love to see the movie. Sam Haskell says, "Did I hear about the Pixels sequel? I did not. I'm a little shocked to hear there's going to be a Pixels sequel. I didn't think Pixels was a hit. I enjoyed Pixels. No, a lot of people don't. A lot of people hate Pixels. I actually thought that was fun." Marty says, "I think J.J. Abrams can make a good Matrix film." I'm sure he could. I like J.J. Abrams. I think he could do something with the Matrix. There was one Monster Mania I hated, and that was the year AMC decided to step in and confiscate anything that was not AMC approved. I don't know if I was there. Oh, Greg, there's a convention in Maryland, I think it's called Mid-East Nostalgia Con. I think it's called like Mid-East Nostalgia Con. That's not the one. This was a one-time only show in Bensalem called Nostalgia Fest. And their headliners were like Gary and Jake Busey. And I actually went, hang on, I got something signed there. Let me see if I can find it. Now I'm not going to be able to find it, am I? Fascinating viewing. Nobody on the screen. Fascinating viewing. Here it is. This is the one thing I got signed at Nostalgia Fest. Getty Watanabe was there. And he signed my UHF poster. This UHF poster has been signed by Getty Watanabe at Nostalgia Fest, Weird Al Yankovic, and John Paragon. So, yeah, that was the one thing I got at Nostalgia Fest. J2H says, "Doesn't Pixels have Adam Sandler in it?" Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Jesse says, "It would be funny if instead of the Wachowski brother, they're the Wachowski siblings now, it was the Russo brothers making the fourth Matrix." Well, the Russo brothers would make a good movie. I have no doubt about that. Booth Babe Greg says, "Okay then, never mind. Ew, Busey's." I like Jake Busey. He was in The Frighteners. I love The Frighteners. And Starship Troopers. I love Starship Troopers. We hear you kill bugs. We hear you have bugs for breakfast and lunch and dinner. Yum, yum, yum. It's a great movie. Man, I gotta watch Starship Troopers again. It's been a while since I watched Starship Troopers. Joe Baseball says, "If Pixels gets a sequel, it'll be Adam Sandler's third sequel after Grown Ups and Hotel Transylvania." This is true. Aubrey says, "Paul Rubens was super funny in Dunstan Checks In." Oh man, I saw Dunstan Checks In the theater when it came out. And my friend Ryan was there. And the whole movie, Ryan laughed and laughed and laughed. And I'm talking a big, loud laugh. Like, oh, 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 oh. Like the whole movie you heard Ryan. Then the movie ended and Ryan went, "That sucked." And we were like, "That sucked. You sounded like you were enjoying the heck out of this movie." Anyway. Brandon says, "Have I heard about Pop, Rock, and Horror Con in Gettysburg?" I have. I haven't been to it, but I have heard of it. Booth Babe says, "We go into RetroCon this year. We don't talk as much, so I wasn't sure if you mentioned it." I never miss RetroCon. I love RetroCon. There's not a shot in hell of me missing RetroCon. In fact, I was actually asked to moderate a panel at RetroCon, which I've never done before. I've never moderated a panel before. And Dave Perillo is going to do it with me. Dave and I are going to do a panel, and we are going to moderate a panel with the stars of Buck Rogers, Gil Gerard, and Felix Silva. So that'll be interesting. I've never moderated a panel before, so this is a first for me. So wish me luck. If you're going to RetroCon, go to the Buck Rogers panel. I'll be moderating it. Jesse says, "Love Jake Busey and the Frighteners. Going to get me a score better than Starkweather." This score must be held by an American. Love that movie. I love the Frighteners. So good. Best Peter Jackson movie. Sorry, Lord of the Rings fans. No, Frighteners. Frighteners has it all over Lord of the Rings. I love the Frighteners. Joey Baseball says, "Have I seen Adam Sandler and Sandy Wexler?" I have not. I haven't seen most of Adam Sandler's movies to be honest. I don't. I'm not a big fan of Adam Sandler, so I haven't seen the majority of his films. Connor says, "Have I seen Everybody Wants Some?" It's Richard Linklater's spiritual sequel to Dazed and Confused. Oh, I haven't. I'll have to look for that. Marty says, "Were your kids ever into the Wiggles?" They weren't, no. But did you ever notice the Wiggles look like they're wearing Star Trek uniforms? There were Wiggle dolls in Toys R Us, and Dave and I used to always pick them up and play Star Trek with them. Like one of them has a red shirt, and one of them has a yellow shirt, and one of them has a blue shirt. But there's one guy with a purple shirt. You know, obviously there's not a purple uniform in Star Trek, so he's the one guy who looks like he put his like shirt in the laundry and it came out funny or something. But Booth Babe says, "RetroCon, best show ever." Absolutely. Rose and Tony do such a great job. I love Rose and Tony. Rose and Tony are the best. Joey says, "Have I spoken with artist Dave about doing more Lunchbox Bunch videos?" Yeah, I just called him last week. I should check with him, see if he's free Friday. Maybe we can get something out Friday. It's been so hard, man, getting together. Anyway. Booth Babe Greg says, "I'll have to make sure I'll catch that. I'll be selling, so who knows." Brandon says, "Scott's great. His booth is one I go to at any show he is at." Who's Scott? Do I know Scott? We're not talking about Scott Derby, right? Yeah, I'm actually getting the 11 by 17 prints from him for the store. Who are we talking about? Joey Baseball says, "Don't worry about moderating a panel. I've seen some of the worst moderators at panels. Absolutely dreadful. You can't possibly be worse than them." Ah, challenge accepted. Challenge accepted. Yes, I can. Yes, I can. Don't doubt me. I can do it. I can be worse. Joey says the Wiggles shirts are the same colors as the Teletubbies. Oh, that's interesting. I never noticed that. Aubrey says the Wiggles was inspired by Trek. There you go. Scott from Scott's Variety Shop, who puts the Rock, Pop, and Horror Show. Oh, I don't know him. I don't think I know him, at least. Have you made that Impossible Whopper taste test video yet? No, I haven't, Joey. I haven't gotten out to Burger King yet. Maybe this weekend. J2H says borrowed Star Trek 1 through 3 from a buddy. Can't wait to watch him. J2H, have you seen Wrath of Khan? Because if you haven't seen Wrath of Khan, do yourself a favor and do not watch Star Trek Into Darkness. Oh, God. Don't watch Star Trek Into Darkness until you've seen Wrath of Khan. It's an atrocity. It's an atrocity. You gotta watch Wrath of Khan first. And before you watch Wrath of Khan, you gotta watch Space Seed. But you're only hurting yourself if you don't. Marty says, "Did I hear there's going to be a David Bowie biopic?" I'm not surprised. I haven't heard that, but the way these music biopics have been coming out, it does not surprise me. John Hine is in the house. Welcome, John Hine. J2H says, "How does one watch Wrath of Khan?" I do think it's on Amazon Prime, if I'm not mistaken. Booth Babe says, "I probably met Scott at Monster Mania." I may have. Jesse says, "What's your favorite and least favorite video game movie?" Oh, my favorite would be King of Kong, A Fistful of Quarters. My least favorite would be... Oh, there was a terrible movie that I saw and I didn't even know it was based on a video game. I found out later. And I just walked out and was like, wow, that was a piece of crap. And then I found out it was based on a video game. Silent Hill, I think. Was that the movie? Silent Hill? It was a horror movie. It was a terrible, terrible horror movie. That might be the worst. Bobby Bolin is in the house. Welcome, Bobby. Nathan Brittles is in the house and says, "Hit them with the Hine." Marty says, "Con!" Booth Babe says, "My least has to be Doom." See, I haven't seen Doom. Did Ray start this singer biopic craze? It might have. I didn't even think of that. But yeah, Ray won the Oscar, so that might have been where it started. And of course, the Resident Evil movies. The Resident Evil movies are interesting because people really love them. And I tried watching the first couple, and they weren't bad, but I couldn't get into them. I was just like, oh, it's okay. But I know people really like it. John says, have I heard of The Nightingale, same director as The Babadook? It was fantastic. I haven't heard of The Nightingale. Sometimes I feel like my finger isn't on the pulse as much as it used to be. Get out of here. Get out of here. I keep being told to sign into the iTunes store. Sam asks, am I watching a movie tonight? I don't think so. Maybe? Depends what time we finish up and if I'm tired. All you lucky people is in the house. Hello, all you lucky people. Good to see you. This is Joe. Are you into the Peter Pan films? No, the Disney one's okay, but yeah, I don't think I have any special love of Peter Pan. I mean, the Disney one's a classic, obviously, but other than that, not so much. Oh, I have injured Aubrey. She says, no, Silent Hill was great. All the creatures were not CGI. I'm sorry, Aubrey. To be honest, I don't even remember Silent Hill. I remember walking out and not liking it, but that's all I remember. And that was about a decade ago, wasn't it? That was around 06 or something, I think. Joe says, how are the cat and dog? They are both surviving. The cat is around here somewhere. He's down here with me. He's probably on the steps. Nathan says Wreck-It Ralph was great, but may not count since it wasn't a real video game. Ah! You stand corrected. I got the video game right here. Let's see. Hold on. Should I play some Fix-It Felix now? Here we go. Fix-It Felix Jr. Alright, I'll turn that off. I will turn that off. Sam asks, if I do, what movie will I watch? Good question. Good question, and I don't know the answer. Oh, the dog's starting up. I can hear him. John says, Alf Tales or Alf the Animated Series? I'm going to go with Alf the Animated Series. Anyone see the Double Dragon movie? It was terrible. I just picked it up on VHS, actually, for like 50 cents. Maybe I'll watch the Double Dragon movie on VHS. Maybe that's what I'll do tonight. Who knows? Who knows? I mean, I might need to go upstairs in a minute and try to fix this dog thing because I hear him screaming. Jack McBrayer was perfect cast as Felix. Oh, absolutely. Sam says, try a Netflix film, The Sextuplets. I'll have to look it up. Joey, did you say... I'm sorry, I'm starting to get a little... What is that dog doing? What is that dog doing? Joey says, did you see Down the Movie put out a poll on what movie he should watch tomorrow? I saw he put the poll out, but I haven't watched the poll yet. Everyone go flood him with requests. Go flood Down to Movies channel and insist he has to see 47 meters down. That's what you should all do. You should all insist you gotta go see 47 meters down. That would be hilarious. He would love it. Booth Babe says, I did like when they went first person near the end. Other than that, I thought it was weak. I think you're talking about Doom, which I haven't seen. And honestly, I've never played the Doom game either. Brandon says he talked about it for 15 to 10 minutes last time I met him. Booth Babe says 47 meters down wasn't terrible in my opinion, but not the best shark movie. Oh no, it certainly wasn't the best shark movie. But the ending, oh yeah, the ending was good. I really did like that ending. And The sharks, it delivered, I think, on the shark footage. It was the second one's probably better. The second one's probably better in terms of the shark stuff, because it's in a sunken like underground Mayan temple, so it's very claustrophobic and it's pretty cool to look at. J2H says, got to be better than the Meg. I did not like the Meg. I did not like the Meg at all. All right, guys. I got to go get this dog. Hang on a second. I'll be right back. One of these days, I'll be able to do a stream without animals screwing it up. Here he is. Sorry for disturbing the stream, guys. How's everybody doing tonight? All right. I'm going to put you on the bed. Please don't fight with the cat. Cat, leave him alone. Just leave Oreo alone, okay? Just leave him be, okay? One day I'll get through a stream without them having something. Joey Baseball says the dog and cat problems are what makes Krazy After Dark so fun. Fun for you, maybe. Fun for you, maybe. Booth Babe says, probably not since Disney was greedy. Oh, what are we talking about here? Rich says, Joe, do you think Sony and Disney will eventually agree to a deal? I hope so. I'd like them to agree to a deal, but in the meantime, I'm pro Sony. I think Disney really, their demands were just outrageous. No business ever would have agreed to that. It's insane. Everyone's saying doggy. Hi, Oreo. There's Oreo. Hi, Just. Oh, boy. Booth Babe says the Sony Disney deal. Oh, yeah. There we go. Rich says, true, but given the fact that Spider-Man has been their most profitable. Yeah, that's the thing. He's their most valuable commodity at Sony. And Disney's like, give us half of it. Nobody's going to go for that. You want half of our most valuable property? Yeah. No one's going for that deal. No one's going for that. I'm sick of Disney. If they get rid of 20th Century Fox, I will be pissed. Liam says, Joe, what is a TV series you heard a lot from a lot of people and recommend? You've heard a lot of people... Let me try reading this again. Joe, what is a TV series you've heard a lot about and people recommend for you to watch that you haven't yet, but you would still like to check out? Oh... Alias, maybe? One of these days I'll check out Alias. What else is there? TV show people recommend. Oh, Barry. I hear Barry's really good. I haven't seen Barry yet. The Boys. Really want to see The Boys. Anyway. J2H says, pro Sony, come on son, Far From Home would have been mediocre without the MCU. I disagree. Far From Home was a great story. It was a great story, and at the core of the story was the characters that Sony has control of. Spider-Man, Mysterio. Sure, Nick Fury was there, but you could have done the story without Nick Fury. And Sony has made... so many great Spider-Man movies. Spider-Man 1, Spider-Man 2, Into the Spider-Verse. They don't need... Disney needs them more than they need Disney, quite frankly. And Disney demands were outrageous. No business in their right mind would have ever accepted that. And Disney had to know they weren't going to accept that. Disney had to know they weren't going to give up 50% of their most valuable commodity. And then going after the spin-off series like Venom and things, that was an insane offer from Disney. That was insane. Anyone would have been laughed out of the room making a suggestion like that. So yeah, I'm glad Sony faced down a bully and said no, and I'm with Sony. Yeah, absolutely. Now, if Disney comes back with a more reasonable offer, I'd like to see them make a deal. But if Disney's going to play hardball and be like, no, we want half of your thing, then no, Sony should tell them to go to hell. Quite frankly, they should. Anyway, Sam says, watch Sextuplets, please. Want to know your review. Okay, I'll have to look it up. I don't know anything about it, so I'll check it out. Booth Babe says, Supernatural. I'm intimidated to check it out since it's 14 seasons. Yeah, and you know what? I really think Supernatural, I used to watch Supernatural. I really think it died at around season 7. It's still going, and it's okay, but it's not what it used to be. It's really not what it used to be. Jamel says, how was your day? Hey, Jamel, how are you? My day's going okay here. Not too bad. How's yours? Jesse says, in my opinion, Universal would have been better buying 20th Century Fox than Disney. My big thing was I didn't want Disney getting the X-Men back. Like, I really wanted the X-Men to stay separate with Fox. I think Disney getting the X-Men back is bad for the X-Men. That's always been my opinion. I always wanted Disney to get Fantastic Four back. I wanted Fantastic Four in the MCU, but not the X-Men. Oh yeah, Aubrey, Disney got crazy greedy with that Sony, with their demands to Sony. It was insane. Rich says, can Marvel still use the multiverse concept? Oh, I'm sure they could. I'm sure of it. J2H says, the only reason FFHH did so well was because it capped off the Infinity Saga. The Sony experiment will fail again. Keep in mind, Sony's never failed. Sony has never failed with Spider-Man. Absolutely never failed. Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man 2 is a terrible movie. Terrible movie. It's the worst Spider-Man movie ever made, and it still was very profitable for Sony. Sony did not take a loss on that movie at all. They made something like, what was it? Something like $700 million. I don't know. I'd have to check the records, but Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man 2 did very well for Sony. Sony has never taken a financial hit on a Spider-Man movie ever. Joey says Tobey Maguire isn't the best Spider-Man. Tobey Maguire is Spider-Man. I can't disagree with that. Actually, I think Tom Holland makes for a better Spider-Man, but I think Tobey Maguire made the best Spider-Man movie, Spider-Man 2. Donald says, I figured BBG. It's tough being so awesome like the two of us. Oh, Booth Babe Craig. Okay. Jamel says, my day was pretty good. I'm glad to hear that, Jamel. Joey says, Sony knew it was a scam when they saw it. Exactly. Yeah, that was a horrible deal. Like, Disney went in there with, like, hey, we're getting 5%. We think we deserve a little bit more. We've been getting 5%, so we'd like a little bit more. We'd like 50. You went from 5 to 50? That's not a negotiation. That is a joke. That is a joke, man. Anyway. Fox is a studio with a rich history. It's sad Disney owns them now. Well, someone was going to own them. I mean, you can't force them to stay in business. I don't know if it would have been much better if Universal got them. Either way, a classic studio was going to die. I think the best case scenario would be Fox had stayed in business. That would have been the best case scenario. But unfortunately, we were going to lose Fox any way you slice it because Fox didn't want to be in the business anymore. Booth Babe says, I hated those Andrew Garfield ones. Me too. I didn't like them at all. I liked him. I thought he was good. And I liked his chemistry with Emma Stone. They were really good together. But I didn't like the movies. The second one was abysmal. Oh my god! Anytime people try to tell me Spider-Man 3 with Tobey Maguire was the worst Spider-Man movie, I'm like, are you insane? Are you crazy? Amazing Spider-Man 2 is so much worse than Spider-Man 3. I can think of redeeming qualities about Spider-Man 3. I can think of almost no redeeming qualities about Amazing Spider-Man 2. The chemistry between Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone is like the only saving grace that movie has. I can't think of anything else positive to say about it. Rich says there should be at least 2 more Spider-Man movies still happening in the MCU. Not if they don't come to a deal. In some ways, I do think if you're a Spider-Man fan, I do think Spider-Man out of the MCU might actually be more satisfying. Because you're going to get more Spider-Man. You are. You're going to get more Spider-Man out of the MCU than you ever would in the MCU. Because the MCU's got so many characters they got to juggle. The Sony, they got Spider-Man. So you're going to see a lot more Spider-Man. Booth Babe says, I want more Alien and or Predator movies. Good ones. I really liked the last Predator movie. The one that was out last year, The Predator. I thought that was great. But generally speaking, I kind of feel like the Alien and Predator movies don't have anywhere left to go. All you lucky people says, have you heard that Cobra Kai Season 1 will be free, ad-supported starting next Thursday? I have heard that. And anyone who hasn't seen Cobra Kai has got to check it out. It is fantastic. I loved Cobra Kai. Booth Babe says Spider-Man 3 wasn't bad compared to Amazing 2. Exactly. That's what I say. Amazing Spider-Man 2 was abysmal. J2H says the Disney-Sony deal is still ongoing. This whole discussion could be for naught, but I'm surprised so many people are on Sony's side here. I'm surprised anyone's not on Sony's side, quite frankly. I can't believe anyone is not on Sony's side here. Like, I mean, to me, it's so cut and dry. Disney came in and offered the most insultingly ridiculous deal imaginable. Like, I don't understand how anyone could say, oh, yeah, they should have taken that deal. Like, any business exec who took that deal Disney offered would lose their job. Like, that's just, it's bad business. Bad business. That was an insulting deal, quite frankly. Donald Richardson says, Joe, the puppet movie I was talking about last week is called Let My Puppet Come, an X-rated movie from 1976. Yeah, no, we got kids in the house. I don't know that would fly, but that's pretty funny. Joey Baseball says they thought about having Tobey Maguire voice Spider-Man and Spider-Voice, but they thought it would confuse people. I actually said they should have had him do it. Gary Reed's here. He says, I got some jokes for you. Worst thing about Thanksgiving is too many people just gobble it up. Rich says, Joe, are you a fan of NECA figures? If you like figures that's legs break off as soon as you open the package. I like NECA figures in that I think they're cool looking, but they are really flimsy figures. They break like as soon as they come out of the package. I have a few. I'm afraid to open them. I have the Michael Keaton Batman figure and the Christopher Reeve Superman. I can't open them up because I keep hearing as soon as you open them like the leg or something falls off. But they do make cool looking figures. Jesse says Disney could have kept Fox going and made adult fair movies with the Fox banner. Yeah, but Jesse, here's what you got to remember. When would they release them? There's only so many release dates. This is the problem with Disney actually owning so many franchises. There's not enough time to release everything. Because you've got to release, if you're Disney, you got to release like 3 Marvel movies a year. You got Star Wars. You've got Avatar. You've got these live-action remakes that people like, you know, the Pixar movies. You've got the Disney animated movies, and all of them need a release date, and they all need kind of high-profile release dates, and it gets to a point where you're competing with yourself. So, I don't know. I actually think Disney would be better off selling franchises that they're not going to use. Like, they're probably not going to make an Alien or a Predator movie because I can't see when they would. I just can't see when are you going to release it. I don't know. I think you'd be better off selling those properties. Because another studio, a smaller studio that maybe wants some franchises like an MGM, they might buy them up. And they'd use it. Lewis Switcher is in the house. Hello, Lewis. Good to see you, my man. J2H says, I'm 100% on Disney's side. Oh my God. J2H, I don't understand how you could possibly be on Disney's side. They came in and said, give us 50% of your highest grossing thing. That's nuts. That's nuts, man. That's the worst business. Booth Babe says, I love NECA, trying to get them for the store. Have a wholesale account with them. They do make cool toys. Lewis says, let's get Crazy Joe to Pittsburgh soon, people. I'm going to try for the fall. We'll see. I got to get Dragon Con behind me, but we'll see what I can do. I'm going to try for the fall, okay? You going to put me up? Do I got a place to stay? Let me know. Let me know. Donald says, what do you call strawberries playing guitar? A jam session. Gary Reed says, next joke. What do Beverly Crusher, Worf, and Deanna Troi have in common? One's a dock, one's a wharf, and one's a marina. Oh, God. I like that one. I actually like that one. Booth Babe says, hey, let them buy them. I just want more. There you go. Joey says, have you seen Mean Girls yet? You need to watch it. It's one of the most culturally important movies ever made. No, I haven't seen Mean Girls yet. How can anyone be on Disney's side with literally anything? Disney got greedy, man. Disney got crazy greedy. Disney got so greedy, it's ridiculous. Give us 50%? Really? 50%? You out of your mind? No, absolutely. Sony did the right thing. It's bullying. It's bullying. They stood up to a bully. Go Sony. Now, if Disney comes back with a reasonable offer, if Disney comes back and says, hey, we were out of line, 50% was ridiculous, and comes back with something reasonable, then I hope they strike a deal. But my God, that was insane. Booth Babe says, as much as I like Disney, they've always been greedy. Yeah, a little bit. Conor McGregor says Universal Studios is better than Disney World. I can't disagree there. I do love Islands of Adventure. Jesse says, yeah, no kidding. It's not like Disney is making billions already. They've had 5 movies make $1 billion this year alone. 5. And then Sony gets $1 billion on one movie, and they're like, we want half of that. F you. F you, you want half of it. Go to hell. Oh, boy. Disney makes too much. They want everyone. Yeah. Joey says, Disney didn't get greedy. They've always been greedy. Have you seen their ridiculous conditions with Disney Movie Club? I don't think their conditions for Disney Movie Club are unreasonable. All You Lucky People says, what do you think of all the exciting He-Man and the Masters of the Universe news from PowerCon this past weekend? You know, we were talking about that earlier. I'm really disappointed about the Netflix news because they're saying it's going to be anime. I don't like anime. I'd love a new He-Man series. But if it's anime, you've lost my interest. Brenda says it's straight up bullying. I'm on Sony's side. Brenda, I am right there with you. Absolutely. Marty McFly says Mickey Mouse is trying to squeeze Slimer for all he's worth. Gary Reed says, why couldn't Kira get permanent residence on DS9? Because they knew she was a visitor. Do you write these jokes yourself, Gary? Do you write these yourself? Oh, boy. J2H says, this sounds like a podcast topic. Text me. Absolutely. After the dog days, when we get the podcast going in regular mode, you're on. Sav says 100% behind Sony. Boothbag says, speaking of Disney, my in-laws are in Disneyland right now. I love Disneyland. J2H says, ever read any manga? I do not. No. It's like... it's a little too close to anime. It's like comic book anime. Fran says, did you know Michael Jackson had a falling out with Sony? He had nothing good to say. I didn't. But, Joey says, so you aren't going to watch one of your favorite shows because it might be anime inspired. Anime is only from Japan. Yeah, I don't want to see anime. I don't want to see anime. Not interested. Completely not interested. And it's not one of my favorite shows. My favorite show was He-Man and the Masters of the Universe by Filmation. This is an anime adaptation of that, and that doesn't interest me. Lewis Switcher says, I got that mug for you when you come. Oh, thank you, man. Lewis, do you have an online store? What's going on? Where do you have the mugs up? Like, do you have an online store? Do you have t-shirts? Let me know, man. I've never seen you advertise an online store. And Lewis, I'm sorry, I'm still one episode behind on your videos because time is not my friend anymore. But I will catch up. I promise you, I will catch up. Gary says, I look some of these jokes up, some I've heard from friends, and some I make up off the top of my head. They're really good, Gary. I really enjoy them. Brenda says DS9 is the best. Brenda, I agree completely. I couldn't agree more. Booth Babe has jokes too, but they're not family-friendly ones. Do you know the one about the ant and the elephant? I'm not telling it here, but it's a good one. The ant and the elephant. Marty says, sadly, Sony doesn't have nearly as much big franchises as Disney. But you know what? Sony is, I think they're really doing a good job, Sony. A couple of years ago, they were kind of in disarray around the time of the Sony hacks. But if you look, they've really kind of fixed themselves up a bit. Like, we got a proper Ghostbusters sequel coming. I'm really excited about Ghostbusters 2020. Into the Spider-Verse won Best Picture, Best Animated Picture, and it was so good. Sony today is not Sony as it was in 2016 or 2015. I mean, Sony is in much better shape today. J2H says, dang it, still got to send you that shirt. Well, thank you, man. Gary says, thank you. I'll try to be here every week until Joe gets tired of me and blocks me. I've only ever blocked like 2 or 3 people. One of them was this week. Can you guess who it was? I'm not naming names, but I bet you guys can guess who I had to block this week. If any of you don't know, I'm going to be shocked. But anyway. Booth Babe knows. All You Lucky People says, I didn't think about the anime thing. That's worrying. I'm excited for the cartoons to be in print again on disc, although I wish we were getting them in Blu-ray. Ah, man, that would be great to get them on Blu-ray. Donald says, what do you call a cow with no legs? Ground beef. Donald, that joke I'm not going to show because it's a family show. It's funny, but I'm going to keep that one hidden. Marty says Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle was great. I still haven't seen Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle. I got to catch up on that one. Again, it's like if I don't see it in the theater, I usually don't get to see it. I'm so bad at watching movies at home. Jesse says Paramount hasn't had any big franchises in a while. That's true, but I think that's going to change now that they've merged back with CBS. Gary says, all jokes aside, I hope that Sony continues with the Spider-Verse. They fix Miles Morales. Yeah. I also love Spider-Man Noir and Spider-Man 2099. Keep those animated films coming, Sony. I totally agree. Gary, I'm not going to read that, but yes. Yes, I did. Joey says, I think the person you blocked... Oh, yeah. Yeah. You guys are guessing correctly. You guys are... I'm not going to name names, but you guys are guessing correctly. J2H says, just looked up the ant and the elephant joke, and it's pretty great. You got to hear Dave Perillo tell it. Dave Perillo tells it so great. Booth Babe says, was happy to see it was a sequel and not a remake. Oh, the new Jumanji. Yes, yes. Connor says, are you going to make this Regal switch that Rick did? No, I'm sticking with AMC. I'm sticking with AMC for a couple of reasons. Number one, the AMC theaters near me have more comfortable seats. They got these nice reclining seats, much more comfortable at the AMC. The AMC is closer to my house, and AMC has the refillable popcorn bucket. So for $4, I could fill up my bucket every time. Whereas with Regal, I would just have to buy a bucket of popcorn. I think with a bucket of popcorn and a soda, it's like $20 every time. Where it's like, I just fill up my popcorn bucket and it's a $4. J2H says, Joe, who made your logo? Dave Perillo. Dave Perillo made that logo. Rich says, any thoughts on the upcoming Matrix 4? Rich, we actually talked about this already. I'm not very interested because it's by Lana Wachowski. And I feel like the Wachowskis have already made 2 Matrix sequels, and they were terrible. I give them all the credit in the world for creating the original Matrix. The original Matrix was way ahead of its time, classic movie. All the credit goes to them for that. But I don't like just about anything they've done since, except I like Speed Racer. That's about it. Joey says, do you have any Ant and the Elephant lunchboxes? I would love to get an Ant and the Elephant lunchbox. Marty says, I got one. Why did Miss Piggy never get married? Because she couldn't get Kermit. I don't get it. It's supposed to be like Kermit, like she couldn't get a permit, Kermit and permit rhyme. I'm lost on that one. I'm sorry. J2H, you can ask him, but he's a pretty busy guy, and he's a very in-demand freelance artist. So it's not easy to catch him. Brent says, is it wrong that I don't like the Amazing Spider-Man movies? Brent, not many people do like the Amazing Spider-Man movies. The first one, the first one has its fans. The first one isn't a disaster. It's not a disaster. I don't think it's great, but it's not a disaster. The second one, I don't know anyone that likes that second one. Donald says, is that a case of suds behind you, or are you a big beer drinker? I do have a box of Yingling behind me. Am I a big beer drinker? No, not big. Not big. Like, for example, this is a 12-pack. That's going to last me like a couple months probably. Every now and then I have one. Marty says, too bad Lego hasn't done any Star Trek sets. I agree. All right, guys. I do need to get going. It's getting late. It's past 10. I'd like to thank everyone for stopping by. I'd like to thank you for joining us on this chat. And it's always a good time. As for we briefly mentioned, Aubrey says it's not too late. What's not too late, Aubrey? What did I miss? What's it not too late for? I missed something. What's it not too late for? Anyway, we mentioned the video that went up earlier, the segment from one of these live streams that got released on its own. I do want that kind of be the final chapter in that saga. So let's I appreciate it, if we can just kind of like lay that to rest now. I know some parties don't want to lay it to rest, but it's time, I think. Sam is saying, watch Sextuplets. I'll have to check it out, man. I haven't even heard of it. All right, guys. Oh, you lucky people says keep wearing those. But yes, keep wearing them. And Aubrey, we gotta do some trivia with JP one of these weekends. Once I get the dog days behind me, I can get back to going to trivia on the weekends. Oh, look at this. Boothbag's quoting the whole song. I love it. All right, guys. Good night. We'll do one more of these next week before I go to Dragon Con. Maybe we'll do a live stream from Dragon Con. I don't know. We'll see. I might. But anyway, keep wearing those pajamas.